Hello again, or if you're new with us, welcome to the Canting Club. This week we have a red from Chile, from the Itata Valley, Chile's oldest wine-producing region. It's in the deep south of the country, quite cool climate, but vines were first planted here by the conquistadors in the mid-16th century because it's one of the very few places in this very dry country where there's enough rainfall for them to survive. Much later, in the 19th century, huge irrigated vineyards were planted in the hot, dry valleys further north, and it's from these that the bulk of Chilean red comes today. Itata got neglected, ignored for about a century. Many of the vineyards disappeared, but they're now being rediscovered because those of them that remain are filled with these wonderful little old bush vines, many of them over a century old, and they can make terrific wine. Being so old, though, they're not of the trendy international varieties planted in the north, like Shiraz and Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. This one, from a 60-year-old vineyard, is almost entirely Cinsault, which is an old French variety, usually found blended. Even here, it's not 100% Cinsault, because scattered in amongst the bush vines, about one vine in 20 is some other variety, usually Pais, which is the oldest of the South American black grapes. So mostly Cinsault, mostly and all from the Itata. It's a lovely medium ruby colour, with a heavenly nose. It's very fresh and very floral, lots of rose petals in this. Also lots of red berry fruit, raspberries and cherries. There's a gamey, savoury note going on underneath as well, and perhaps a touch of pungent spices like cloves. Very nice. Oh gosh, that's different. It's very fresh, earthy and spicy, and those red fruits, raspberries and cherries, are back again. But the real point of difference here is this extraordinary, smoky, medicinal flavour. The closest comparison I can think of is like iodine, but it's an awful lot more appealing than that sounds. And that medicinal note continues long into the finish, where it's joined by warming spices and very fine, soft, light tannins. You'll barely notice they're there. Wow, what a personality this has. A real surprise. I've never tasted anything quite like that medicinal flavour in a wine before. I'm tempted to put it down to the very natural winemaking. This is perhaps the most natural wine we've ever had. Entirely organic grapes, hand-harvested, no chemical corrections of any sort. The only chemical added was a tiny amount of sulfur dioxide just before bottling to stop the wine going off in the bottle. But it isn't the sort of rustic, wild beast of a red you would expect from that sort of hands-off natural wine treatment. Instead, this is fine and complex and elegant and decidedly old world in style. It's completely unoaked, and it reminds me of like an unoaked village Burgundy crossed with a northern Rhone Syrah, but with a distinctive earthy Chilean character all its own. The guys who produced this, two guys and a few of their mates called Rogue Vine, they see themselves as revolutionaries championing these old bush vines. Their website's lovely. It's even got a drawing of the clenched fist salute on it. Viva la bush vine revolution! Cheers, comrades.